Alright men, new fusion champion revealed, boys. This fusion is going to be going live on May 5th. So very, very soon, Ishiyama the Immovable is going to be the new fragment fusion champion, right? That you can get your hands on for the month of May. Is the son of a gun actually worth fusion? We'll get to that in just a second, man. I will say that he's going to be a fragment fusion, so it's going to be a little bit of an easier fusion, right, than the mixed. You're not going to require quite as much champion training for like fusion components and stuff. You're not going to require potions for ascending those fusion components, all of that stuff. And so fragment fusions are a little bit easier to get done. You got to bear that in mind, I suppose. But let's get to the kit breakdown, man. So legendary HP-based champion for the Shuriken faction, right? The A1 is a double hitter. Good start. Each hit transfers a random debuff from this champion to the target. If this champion is under any debuffs when attacked, counterattacks with this skill. Ooh, that might not actually be too bad. First area of the game that really jumps to mind is, of course, going to be Hydra. Debuffs all over the bloody place. You can't really move for debuffs in Hydra, of course. A lot of this is going to come down to damage modifiers and how hard he's actually smacking with this A1 in terms of how much value he's actually going to get from it. Moving on to the A2, we've got Calculated Volley. 3-turn cooldown when fully bucked, 4 turns otherwise unbucked. Attacks all enemies, 100% chance of placing fear, decreased crit damage, and decreased crit rate debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. These debuffs cannot be resisted by enemies who are already under 2 or more debuffs. Where's this going to be useful? I guess, like, it could be pretty good debuffs to bring into Ice Golem, right? To avoid just getting your cheeks clapped by a massive counterattack from the boss, I guess. Similarly useful, I guess, into like Hard Mode Dragon and stuff like that. You're like, you don't want to be, if you've got like a unoptimized team that's a little bit clunky and just needs to sort of tank through a bunch of the boss's hits and stuff like Dragon and Ice Golem before you can finally get the boss dead. Okay, I guess you can plug a gap in those teams. I'm trying to be charitable here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be charitable. Decreased crit damage, decreased crit rate debuffs, and even just like a regular fear debuff are a little bit hard to place in exactly where you're going to get a stupid amount of value from these debuffs, exactly. But there you go. It being a 4-turn cooldown book is actually quite useful as well, but there you go. As for the A3, finish them. 4-turn cooldown by default, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy will ignore 25% of the target's defense. Okay. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under 2 or more debuffs. Place a block damage buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. Okay, so I guess this means that while he is an HP-based champion, Ishiyama, apparently he's like a damage dealer. Apparently, like, his main job is going to be to smack stuff. Like, the kind of dead giveaway was his A1, right? He's counterattacking like crazy with the A1, hypothetically or possibly. And then this A3 being an ignore defense tells me that his modifiers should be leaning pretty heavily towards being damaged, right? You're not bringing this guy as like a debuffer on your team. He just incidentally brings some debuffs. And so, you know, some like HP and defense-based champions can kind of smack. Morag comes to mind. Of course, you've got like Magna of the Epic Champion variety as well. And so they can do the job. Ignore defense can never be underestimated. This A3, maybe it absolutely claps cheeks. My issue is, okay, you know what, man, let's actually just go on to the passive as well, because we still have the passive to get to, which my face is blocking off just a little bit, but I'll read it. Whenever an enemy resists a debuff by this champion, the next debuff placed by this champ cannot be resisted. I mean, ideally, you're just never having your debuffs resisted, but each debuff placed by this champion increases their max HP by 3%, stacking up to 30%, which you might think, oh, what's the big deal? A bit more survivability. Well, he's an HP-based champion. You can assume that he's dealing damage based on how much max HP he has. And so this is not just increasing his survivability, it will also increase his damage as well over the course of a longer fight. And so, yeah. And the aura also being ally HP in all battles by 28% is just a nice little bonus, right? It being an all battles aura. What the hell do you guys think about this guy, man? I feel like this guy might actually be quite divisive, given how easy fragment fusions are to get done. If you've got the resources ready to go, they're just a lot less of a headache than like the mixed fusions and stuff like that. And so maybe that's like a mitigating factor that might sway some people either way to just collect as fragments because of how easy they are to get. Fragment fusions, you might as well collect as many fragments as you can, even if you're not going to go for the fusion, you know what I mean? For those mod fragments and all of that, so maybe that's going to colour some people's opinion. Would I recommend this guy for new players on a new account? That's a whole other issue completely. In fact, hey man, if you're looking to start off a new Raid Shadow Legends account, speaking of new players and all of that, make sure that you get it done by using my beginner promo link, which you can find down below at the top of the video description box, man. Click on that link, use it to create a new account on your PC. Very, very important to use Prior and Player when setting up your new account, right? You're just going to get yourself Elnaril as your free starter legendary champion and a whole bunch of free epic champions as you level up your account as well, man, including Ugo in the mix too. So crazy, crazy starter rewards package for any new players watching. Yeah, to get your account off to an incredible, incredible start. Back to Ishiyama the Immovable. Do I recommend this guy for new players? I don't think I do. I don't think I do, man. I'm just a little bit concerned that if you are saving the likes of 4 or 5 sacred shards, you know, and maybe you've got like 1,000 gems saved up and a good amount of silver, and you're ready to do this fusion, that a lot of new players might say, you know what, man, doesn't look bad to me. I'm going to pull the trigger on Ishiyama the Immovable, and I'm going to sort of take that gamble and use my resources on this fusion. I think that for your first ever fusion that you do on your account, if this is your first ever fusion that you're planning on doing potentially on your account, you got to be sure that this guy is going to give you a hell of a lot of value. As of right now, and by the way, like I might be proven wrong about this. As of right now, without seeing this guy's damage modifiers, I gotta say, unless he absolutely max, okay, and just like crazy sweet damage with the not just the A3 but also the A1, right? With his counterattacks with the A1. So he has like good utility is potentially like a Hydra damage dealer that you can throw in, and he can do like okay into Hydra. Just my big concern with this guy is that outside of that case, outside of him having like crazy good damage modifiers on the A1 and on the A3, his debuffs that he brings, the decreased crit damage, the decreased crit rate, like they're good, they're fine for survivability. Again, I think they're particularly helpful, I guess, as you're going up in difficulty and progressing through Dragon, and you got to survive the big Dragon hits on occasion. Same thing with the Ice Golem as well. Good debuffs to bring so you don't just get like freakishly one-shotted by a huge Ice Golem hit. Outside of those edge case uses, I'm just not sure where you use this guy. You know what I mean? Hopefully I'm forgetting something, by the way. If there's like an area of the game where you feel like this guy would absolutely clap, like not including faction wars, it feels like most legendaries in the game can perform in faction wars, you know what I mean? But like some niche area of the game where you really want to progress, one of the Doom Tower bosses or something that you feel like I'm missing, please do let me know down below. I want to be informed about this as well myself. I've actually just woke up, so I'm a little bit groggy. I think for most players watching this, if you've got the resources to do the fusion and you can do it somewhat comfortably, get as many of his fragments as you can, because you might as well, right? Even if you can just get the champion ready to fuse and just keep his 100 fragments until you eventually like want to win a champion chase tournament or something later on down the line, or fuse him during like a future personal rewards CVC, that's all going to be great options for you. For any new players out there, if this is going to be your first ever fusion, I think I'd recommend you skip, man. As of right now, until we see his damage modifiers, I might change my mind. I recommend that you skip and save for next month's fusion. You've got then a month to prepare. A ton of food champions, have them sitting at like level 40, level 30, level 40 food champions in your vault. You can save up like 4 or 5 sacred shards for next month's fusion. You can just be ready for next month's fusion, get all of those ascendancy potions saved up, and just be prepared for next month's fusion instead. Particularly if your account is still quite early game and you've never like done a fusion before, and once you dump all those resources on a fusion, it's really tough to save them up again as a new player, you know, to do another fusion. And so you got to be sure about which champion it is that you're pulling the trigger on. That's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think, man, of Ishiyama the Immovable? Thanks for watching, man. If you did enjoy this one, go ahead and drop a like on it. I'm going to be very, very intrigued by the comments on this and see how many people are actually going for this guy. I'll probably launch a poll, actually, in a couple of days, just to see what you guys think. I wish I had some time to think about it, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, if you're looking to start off a new raid account, man, make sure that you get it done using my beginner promo link, which you can find down below at the top of the video description box, man. Best possible way to start off a new raid account in 2025. Thanks for stopping by, and I'm going to catch all of you all just a tad bit later, man. Ooh, this is an interesting one, though.